Hello Israel, it's me, Red Planet, coming to you once again with another video. No rights to the video or music, strictly for educational purposes only. We're going to listen to BP Earthwatch talk about this whole flip that supposedly had happened. Let's get into it and see what he has to say, Israel.
And then it's going to start dropping for about 5 weeks, all the way up into the first week of October. We talked about this early fall and how glad we are to have it. And we also mentioned in last night's video about the sudden slowdown of the big storms in the Atlantic and the one expected to roll up out of the Caribbean into the Gulf, and how they were just being damped down with dry air and the Saharan.
So what I'm thinking is because we had a pole shift, is what they're saying, causing a tsunami, hurricanes, and earthquakes to actually take place on the planet because of the pole shift of the sun. Is why we having so many hurricanes and so many earthquakes. Now, I believe personally that it's the planet, that planet X, because it's hotter than the sun. And they're not going to tell you that, Israel. They're not going to tell you that as evil is on the earth, attracts that planet to come closer to the earth. And since it has its own light source, it gets hotter, which causes hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcano eruptions, because that's taking place too. The news is not going to tell you this. TikTok may, YouTube, and sometimes. But this is what's happening. The earth is getting hotter. Not only is it getting hotter only from the sun, it's getting hotter from Planet X, Nibiru, Planet Hell, whatever they want to call it. It's getting hotter as well. And the hotter the planet gets, the hotter the earth gets, the more those hurricanes and tornadoes is going to intensify and get hotter and hotter and hotter. It's going to cause more earthquakes. It's going to cause more volcanoes to erupt. It's going to cause more hurricanes to take place. It's if you notice, Israel, it's just one after another. As soon as they're done with one earthquake, here comes another one. As soon as they're done with that one, here comes another one, and another one, and another one, and until they're just like back to back to back to back to back, one behind the other. And tornadoes. Tornadoes right behind each other. Tornadoes right behind the other. Just going to continue to happen. I'm not saying that it don't have anything to do with the pole shift, because it just might, but not by itself. Not by itself. That planet is doing it as well. And the sun. You notice the sun has gotten even hotter. Like every year, it gets hotter and hotter. Hotter and hotter. Because that planet is close to the sun. Which means as the sun, within our atmosphere, as the sun heats up the earth, so does that planet. And they can say whatever they want that the planet is not doing that. Yes, it is. It's doing it. But they're not going to tell us.
Sand layer. But I think we're also seeing something else that may be affecting all of that. And what we're talking about, and before I play it forward, let me just say something here. Get this marker. Right here, say this is the equator of the sun, northern hemisphere, southern. And the earth is located in this area. So anything in the southern hemisphere is more earth effective or geo effective than anything in the northern hemisphere, just because, like, if you've got a big ball there and you've got lights coming out of it, the top half is going to radiate upward and outward from this half, and the bottom half will go outward and downward. you understand. So when you have these solar flares here, you are dealing with a southern hemisphere event. But what we're seeing right now, we're going to go from this video to the video for today. You're going to see that we have experienced a complete magnetic pole shift of our sun, and that may be why we're seeing the early flip to fall and the dampening down of the hurricanes. You're not going to believe the new hurricane update.
Now fall has come early, because it's usually what, mid-September. I noticed lately it's been getting cold in the daytime, in the evening time, and colder at night here where I am. And I'm sure in other cities as well. This is why, like I said, we're constantly having all these hurricanes and tornadoes. And it's only going to get worse, Israel. It's going to get worse. Because that planet is attracted to evil. And the more evil that's on this earth, Lord, that planet is going to get. It's already within our atmosphere. It's not out in space because it can't come in and out of the firmament. So it's in our atmosphere. Okay? It's just out of sight where you can't see it because the Creator has it hidden. But it's definitely heating up this earth. And it's way hotter than the sun. Way hotter than the sun. It has its own heat source. So it's iron and nickel. So it's way hotter than the sun.
They're almost dwindling out. I'll show you that too. Let me play this forward. Now this is going back a month. It's hard to see right here. You may can get zoomed in, but this is saying August 3rd, 2024. And so let's play this thing forward. And even at this time, probably 6 months ago, we were talking about we're starting to see more sunspots in the southern hemisphere, and that indicates a magnetic solar flip. Now, this happens about every 11.8 years. It coincides with the solar cycle, so we may be starting to see the down dip of the solar cycle, of this solar cycle 25, and again, much colder weather. Even you can see the larger sunspots as we're coming in, going to August 3rd and 4th in this area. The energy starting to move here. And one of the indicators is if this polarity changes, most of the sunspots will flip to one side of the sun or the other. And every weather event on our planet is affected by the sun. The sun could go out for 1 hour, guys, and we would freeze to death almost instantly. Think about it. Well,
if the sun goes out, you still got that planet. And since it has its own light source and heat source, I doubt if that'll happen. Because that can light the earth too. But they're not going to tell you that. They're going to have us thinking that it's just the sun that's doing it all. I'm not saying that the sun is not, but it ain't doing it by itself. It has that planet. And it's always going to be cloaked behind the sun or by the sun. Because if you look in the sky, you see this tiny little sun, itty bitty little sun. And then you see a shadow in the back, a silhouette in the back of the sun. That's that planet because it's extremely big and huge. Bigger than the sun, because the sun is not that big. It's not that big, nor is the moon. But they wanna have us believe that it is. But it is that planet. And if you look at it, it is darker than the sun. You see the planet is in the clouds or in the sky, but then you see this tiny little itty bitty sun behind it. And at night, you can see it real good, and then it's cloaked behind the moon. But it's huge. extremely huge. Now people are saying that they're seeing the sun and the moon at the same time, either in the daytime or at night. I believe it because we know different things are taking place on the earth right now, Israel. So it's possible for that to happen.
Let's come forward. This is September the 2nd, yesterday, and today the 3rd. Notice the northern hemisphere, almost blank. Now, you may see a row one here or there. We're seeing some filaments up in that area, but the sunspots have drifted to the southern hemisphere. Now, the bad thing about that is today we had a backside explosion. It was a halo on the backside of the sun spreading out. It did affect us with radio blackouts. But the day before that, there was a...
So now they're saying, Israel, that the solar flares that's coming off the sun is is coming to Earth or hit the Earth. And I don't understand that, because how you going to get out in the firmament to be out in space for that to happen? But then, keep in mind, the sun is within our atmosphere. It's already here within the atmosphere. So explain to me how that's even possible. Now, I'm not saying the solar flares doesn't come off the sun and hit the earth, but from space, no. If it's within our atmosphere, how is it hitting the earth from the sun? That don't make any sense, Israel. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the sun doesn't pop off solar flares. But if it's within our atmosphere, Israel, then it already flared off from the sun onto the earth. And this is why you hear or see so many cities saying that it's hot. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hot. I know here where I am, we've been getting a lot of very hot days. Extremely hot. Like you can touch your door and the door is extremely hot. So imagine sitting out in the sun in it. Extremely hot. Not from the sun. From that planet. If the flares are coming from the sun on the earth, so they say, then yeah. But far as those hot, extremely like 102, 103, yeah, it's coming from that planet. It is not coming from the sun. Because as long as it's going to continue to get as low to the earth, it's only getting that way because of the evil that's on this earth. Okay, Israel? But the solar flares is popping off that sun. We are feeling the effect from that, from the heat, with the heat, with the earth heating up. Yeah, with the earth heating up. But like I said, the sun is not doing it by itself. Okay, now I can see why it will cause hurricanes, tornadoes, volcano eruptions, earthquakes, and you will see the aurora in the sky. I don't see a lot of people making videos on that. Auroras in the sky. Because the sun hit the planet. I don't see nobody saying it knocked out all electricity, knocked out our power grid, burned our power grid, burned the wires. I don't see nobody saying any of that. I don't see nobody saying they get sick from radiation. So they lying, Israel. They're not telling the truth. Now, if you want to say it's coming from Planet X or Nibiru, then I'll say yeah. Because that's just how hot it is. It's just that hot. It's just that hot, Israel. And they're not going to tell you. But so many people on TikTok is saying that they're seeing 2 suns, 3 suns. You know that's a simulator. 4 suns. Unusual clouds. Unusual rain. Unusual storms. And we know whenever they turn on the heart machine, this is what happens. I mean, they play a part. They play a part in it too, Israel. So it's not just the planet, but the planet plays a big role in it. All this bad weather that's taking place. We never had this many tsunamis and tornado eruptions. We never had this many hurricanes. Coming off that planet. It is only going to get worse, far worse. Every time that, hear on the news that something happened, someone got hurt, that planet is going to get closer because it's attracted to evil.
Massive eruption from a sunspot that's basically turning towards us. It was a strong M5.5. It would have been an X flare if it had been directly at us, and the satellites would have detected much more energy. But again, this is yesterday and today. Everything's migrating to the south, so we have just seen a magnetic pole. Now, that's not the physical sun flipping up and down, but it's the magnetic pole now.
So they're saying that the magnetic pole causes to hurricanes to take place, or the tornadoes that they're getting that's touching down in these cities, ripping up everything because of the pole shift, flipping north. That's what you're saying.
There's different science coming in all the time about how that affects Earth. But right now, if you think about it, we're still in summer going into fall, and the Earth is still leaning in the northern hemisphere towards the sun. And our magnetic...
Keep in mind, Israel, we got the new lunar eclipse that's coming the 17th of September. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. I don't even know if or what casualties it's going to bring afterwards. Since they're saying every time we have a solar eclipse, something happened. Every time we have a lunar eclipse, something happened. Something take place, or something is going to happen.
Poles are controlled by the sun also, but ours don't fluctuate like that. It could take millions of years and hundreds of thousands of years in cases for the magnetic pole of our Earth to flip completely reverse from north to south. But again, you've got 2 energy sources, the magnetic poles coming out of the sun, and that's called the heliosphere. It radiates all the way out through the planets of our solar system and beyond. And then you have the Earth's magnetic field that we deal with. But when one pole flips on the one that's much stronger than the other, you've got two transformers. Guys, one's a high power and one's a low power. And if they interact, you know how conductance works in the transformers, how you downgrade and upgrade your signal or your current. Anyway, how is that going to affect us now? Our weather suddenly changed. It blew the models away. If you look at it, even the mainstream media is kind of overwhelmed. What happened in some cases? Everyone was surprised by it, including myself. We have been waiting for something to change, but this may...
And I remember, I think it was a week ago, we lost power. Whole left side from one end of the block to the other was out of power. They kept saying it was their power grid that they were having problems with. But across the street on the right side had power the whole block. I don't know if they were testing to see what our reaction would be not having power for those 4 or 5 hours we were, because it didn't come back on until the next day. Maybe between 8 and 9 that morning. The power came back on. It just all of a sudden, everything just went out completely. Didn't flicker, didn't go in and out. It completely cut off. And we was out without power for a while. Luckily, we had candles to light our way to go in and out our rooms and to do different things to get around in the house. And we had our phones. Good thing we had our phones that was charged up. Can't imagine what would have happened if our phones weren't charged and we wasn't able to get on our phones and didn't get the alert, Israel, until 3 hours later. They were saying that the power was out because they were having problems with the power grid. No, they getting ready to shut it all down. That's what's getting ready to happen. And when that happens, Israel, and the lights are out, they know it's going to be chaos, which is going to bring that planet even closer. And all the catastrophes is going to intensify and get worse. That's what they expected. But we eventually got power the next day. I mean, total darkness. Even the street lights, or what little street lights, because over here we don't have too many street lights. Maybe 1 or 2, and that's it. Even that was out. So complete darkness. Inside our home and on the streets.
Affect the entire hurricane season because the air is going to be much cooler if AccuWeather's right. We looked at that last night here in central Mississippi. Nothing above 85 or 86 now until October, the first weekend of that. But again, guys, you are witnessing a pole shift now. That will also indicate that this 11.5-year cycle of the pole shifts not only indicate that we're in the middle and dropping stage now, solar cycle 25, but it matches the orbit of Jupiter. And Jupiter is the only planet that does not revolve around the core of the sun like we do in the other ones. It's so large that it and the sun rotate around a spot. You can't see it, but a gravitational spot that's outside of the sun. That's how powerful it is. And for half of that 11.8 years, Jupiter is approaching the sun, getting closer, and their orbit is getting closer. And then for this last section of that, it's going back further out into orbit. It's not a circle, it's an elliptical orbit. And when it gets closer, you start seeing these events rise in the solar aspect. Now I'm going to run this LASCO C2 image, both of them, from August 31st until September the 3rd today. I've got it paused here on yesterday. This was an explosion that was not a backside explosion. This sunspot is getting very close to being Earth-facing. It's already visible, and it was visible here, creating an M155 flare that would have...
Now, supposedly, Israel, this is supposed to take place in space. And when the solar flare here blast off, this solar flare here is ready to pop right here. supposedly pop. That is what's supposed to hit the earth. And it knocks out all power. And it leaves an aurora in the sky. And that's nothing but radiation. This is what's supposed to happen, Israel. This is what they're saying is getting ready to happen in space. And it's going to hit the globe that they're seeing is Earth. The globe now. Not the flat Earth, but the globe.
Been an X flare,
and what they're saying is our magnetic field is not going to be able to handle the sun blast here that's going to hit the earth in space. Our magnetic field won't be able to handle such force of this solar flare here. So it's going to knock out all power. Leave this big, huge aurora in the sky. Pretty colors.
Experts agree that if it had been more Earth-facing, the satellites would have detected much more energy. So that's how it started out the day, and this was very powerful. And I have a few interesting images of that event, and we'll take a look at it. Let's just play it through. Let me back it up. This will go from August 31st until today. And the gray image on the right, guys, that gives you a much better view of the energy. You can see it better because it's kind of reversed. There was the powerful burst from yesterday. Then we're going to have a backside halo today. Watch this. And again, the backside one was strong enough to give us some radio blackout problems here on Earth. The satellites detected. That was it right there. So that's in the southern hemisphere on the backside, and the powerful one that we saw on the 2nd.
So you seen that blast here in the backside of the sun. The solar flare. Big, huge pop of solar flare. That's supposed to hits off the sun in space, headed to Earth. And they're saying that that solar flare, when it hit the Earth, was supposed to have caused all these tsunamis and hurricanes and tornadoes. That's what they're saying now. This is what BP Earthwatch is saying. This is what they're saying. They're not going to tell you, Israel, that it's coming from that planet. They ain't going to tell you that. They're going to say it's coming from off this sun. Which I'm not understanding that. Considering the sun is already in our atmosphere, how's it coming from space? How did it hit the earth when it's already within our atmosphere? Because keep in mind, nothing can get in or out of the firmament. So how did it hit the earth? How did the sun in space hit the earth? Because it's not true. It didn't take place, Israel.
Is already nearly Earth facing it. So we're going to have to deal with it for the next 7 or 8, 9 days already. And if all the energy's down into the southern hemisphere, that's where the sunspots are going to be, and that's where the explosions are going to be. Now let's take a look again today's date at the bottom, 1:30 p.m. UTC time. Remember these numbers. The sunspot AR 3813, it's in the red. It has a beta gamma. Magnetic fields combined, then that's where you get the spark when you have opposites. Then 3807, 3806. But this 3813 is what gave us that big one on the 2nd, and that was the one that's turning towards us the most. Again, 13, 07, and 06. And again, they're saying growing on 3807 and growing on 3813. And with that overlaid over the image we started the video with, again, everything in the southern hemisphere, 3813, that's the one that's growing. That's where that huge flare came off of yesterday. This is going to be turning Earth facing. This is going to be turning Earth facing also. and 3807, 3806 are mentioned there. But these two right now are active, and 3807 is large enough to give us some trouble. But again, the energy's moved to our hemisphere as far as connecting it to the sun. And I haven't seen that much about it, but guys, it would be like putting two magnets close together, and you rotate the pole of one of them. How will it affect the other one? Sometimes two magnets will catch together. Sometimes you can't hardly put them together, depending on the polarity. And is that why, again, we're starting to see a change maybe into an early winter, much colder, and the dying off of the hurricanes? Let me show you a diagram. When we take a look at this representation of the Earth's magnetic field, the poles are opposite.
Now you see what I'm talking about, Israel? Now, this is supposed to be the Earth. That solar flare blast that came off the Earth, off the sun, was supposed to hit the Earth. This is a pole shift right here. Supposedly, this is supposed to be a pole shift. But the sun, the solar flare flared off of the sun. It was supposed to hit the Earth. This is what they're saying the Earth looks like. This is supposed to be in space. Space now. And this is supposed to hit, the solar flare is supposed to hit the Earth. That's why it's causing so much strong hurricanes and tornadoes. Because of this. This is the North Pole. And this is the North Pole, South Pole down there. But this is the Earth that they're saying the solar flare hit Israel, the Earth, which caused so much problems on the Earth with all these hurricanes and tornadoes that's constantly going back to back to back. It's like every time they get rid of one, here comes another one. They already have a name for it because they already know one is coming. One is coming after another. Now they're saying it's another hurricane that's getting ready to hit. This is why I say don't believe nothing that they say. Because ain't no sun out in space. And the Earth don't look like this. And this is supposed to be North Pole, the geographic. And this right here is the pole shift that's taking place. And this is the North Magnetic Pole.
In other words, the lines of force are pulled into the North Pole and they exit the South Pole. You can see it just like a compass, and that's how a compass works. That's how the animals navigate. Now, this image represents Earth here, the magnetic lines of force coming into the north, going out the south, and it goes out behind it because...
So this is the solar flare. This is the sun here. This is the solar flare. This is our magnetic field right here, and this is Earth. This is what he's telling you. And you know, can't get anything to come in and out of the firmament. The sun is not out in space, Israel. BP Earthwise don't know what he's talking about.
The energy of the sun is blowing everything back. If we did not have these magnetic fields, the sun would strip away the oxygen on our planet just like it did Mars. But now that the polarity of the current coming in this way has completely changed, how will that affect the polarity of our north and south poles? Again, not much information on it, but we are seeing some sudden changes into possibly an early winter. We saw that before in history, where you're going into very warm area and then suddenly the climate shifts down for a few years. But that graph is actually in the Younger Dryas graph itself. Guys, and this is the updated hurricane graph that I was talking about. Everything's just dying out. This one has a 30% chance, maybe in 7 days, 10% chance on the second storm. The back one has a 30% chance, and it's headed north. Just everything is dying back as far as the activity. It's like winter coming on. That's what you see happen with the hurricane seasons each year. And if this is happening this quickly, again, the video last night, we looked forward about.
So if it's happening, it's only because of the pole shift that they're saying we had, going from south to north. Pole shift. And this is what's causing our early winter, or early fall, or early autumn, leading up until our winter. We didn't have a bad winter last year. We're not going to have a bad winter this year. Doubt if we even get snow, because we only got it. I caught on my fingers 3 or 4 times, and that was it. We just had a very cold winter because of the Canada, the Canadian border, because we're across from Windsor, and that cold front hits Detroit where I am, causing it to be cold, as well as Detroit River.
5 weeks on the AccuWeather chart for central Mississippi. And after today, we're going to get a few showers, and then it's going to get cooler, very pleasant, much more pleasant than what we've seen for about 5 weeks. I haven't looked out past that. But by then, we're into October, and it should be. But this is, and I can tell by the comments from last night's video, this is happening very quickly. Everyone's talking about it. The leaves are turning quicker and things like that. And let's look at the current images over the U.S., southern Canada, and northern New Mexico. Again, about the only thing happening is the system that's setting in the Gulf, still giving you a few showers up into Texas. If it doesn't get some more moisture behind it, I don't know how much longer it will last, but it was predicted to drift a little further south and then just kind of fizzle out according to the maps. But you've got a low-pressure system suddenly over you in Idaho. Notice the spin right here. And, guys, that's over the fires. You can see it pushing some smoke further south there. We'll switch to infrared real quick to see if you're getting any moisture out of that. Now, it's not that strong, but, again, you can see that rotation there. And that may pick up some more clouds over the heat you're dealing with. But anything, even cloud cover, will help in the effort to put these fires out. But you saw that it was still pushing a lot of smoke around. Now, last night we talked about it may start to get a little muggier in the northeast because you're getting some rain coming in. But that's not going to last that long. But it will increase the uncomfortable conditions there as we're still slightly warm. Here, Texas, you're still getting some moisture. You're getting along the Rio Grande, Mexico, you're starting to see some outer bands of this rotation there. Florida, I hope you need this rain because you're getting it. Alabama, the same here. So, again, we need the moisture. I'm not going to complain about it. But, guys, we're watching it again. I'm going to keep an eye on it, but I think that's what we're seeing. Again, the complete flip of the sun's magnetic poles. But the weather's not the only thing we see changing in the magnetic poles of the sun. Everything's changing. Wars and rumors of wars. The attempted takeover of democracies around the world and republics by allowing illegal votes. That's going on massively. There's a lot of people out there compared to 2020. Now, let me say this, poll watchers and lawyers in place and things like that, and it's going to make it a lot harder. So, again, saying make it too big to rig. Think about that, guys, if you have not done it. Regardless if you're one side or the other, think about whatever person you would like to make your gas prices go down, your food get a little cheaper, and some jobs come back, and some other things happening, kind of make it go back to the side of our country. You decide. Think about that. And I hope, and I know that 99.9% of people that watch this channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But again, some people are passive voters. But as they're saying again, Vote hard, vote strong, regardless of what side you're on. Make it too big to rig. This is a heads up, guys. Be safe.